I spoke to a man who was actually holding the documents in his hand. He told me about it, right? He said he infiltrated the global cabal at the UN level, right? And one of the things that he was able to tell me about from his own personal experience, what he witnessed himself, was these documents that show that there is a plan. And this was several years ago, right? The plan was to infiltrate 100 million illegal immigrants. And at that point, they were already at 40 million. And these people would dilute what they called the pool of patriots. Those were their words, right? And they would not be taught that America is a great country and trained to sing the national anthem with pride and so on and so on. They would be taught all the negative things that we're taught about the US today that our own children are taught. And what would be the effect of diluting the pool of patriots? Well, it would be to break down this sense of pride in being American and what it means to be.
Such a declarative statements made by Lara Logan there on Newsmax, talking about diluting the pool of patriots with these filthy, disgusting immigrants. It's been a plan. It's been going through the whole works from the global cabal, apparently, that she's an expert on. Well, as she made all these points, as Newsmax hosts kept nodding their head, apparently executives didn't feel the same way, because as we've seen the history of Lara Logan, when she says things that many conservatives say, she gets the axe. So because of that comment and more, we're just gonna see in a second, this is what happened. Following the publications of this article, Newsmax told Daily Beast that it would not be bringing her back on the air going forward. They said this: Newsmax condemns in the strongest terms the reprehensible statements made by Lara Logan, and her views do not reflect our network, is what they said in a statement. We have no plans to interview her again. Damn. In case you guys forgot, Lara Logan used to be on 60 Minutes. She was seen as a across the board normal, I think even foreign correspondent. She was in war zones, she was in dangerous situations. She was reporting despite the conditions that she was always in. And now she's been booted apparently from her appearances on Newsmax. If that sounds familiar, it's because she also was booted from Fox News for saying things that Fox News people like to say as well too. Remember this?
In that moment, what you see on Dr. Fauci, this is what people say to me, that he doesn't represent science to them. He represents Joseph Mengele, Dr. Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor who did experiments on Jews during the Second World War and in the concentration camps. And I am talking about people all across the world are saying this, because the response from COVID, what it has done to countries everywhere, what it has done to civil liberties, the suicide rates, the poverty, it has obliterated economies. The level of suffering that has been created because of this disease is now being seen in the cold light of day, i.e. the truth. And people see that there's no justification for what is being done.
After losing the job on CBS, she then went to Fox. Fox said, we can't take this, can't handle it anymore. There's more that they had issues with. She keeps getting shoved off to the side. I have a particular point about the way this goes, but more details of how she was so mad about these immigrants and this violence that they've been planning. No, she kept going. Logan, who once called migrants a virus bomb on America, immediately kicked off the segment by casually accusing the White House of importing immigrants in an effort to incite violence from the right. He's gonna make conservatives in the country go crazy, and now the violence happens. Now it happens. It's really interesting because we live in a moment where you can see all over the place that this administration is desperate to incite some kind of event, is what she said. Incite people to act that will prove the lie of white terrorism and white supremacy in America today, and give them an excuse to crack down. They need a Reichstag fire. This sounds like things that Tucker Carlson likes to say on the air all the time on that same Fox News. And as we saw Eric Bolling nodding his head as she said all this. As a matter of fact, one more piece of this with our QAnon talk that eventually got her kicked off the air again. All these things are reprehensible, but think about whether or not this is outside the lines of what you've heard other people saying. Watch.
Is God okay with a closed border?
It's much bigger than that. God believes that in sovereignty and national identity and the sanctity of family and all the things that we've lived with from the beginning of time. And he knows that the open border is Satan's way of taking control of the world through all of these people who are his stooges and his servants. And they may think that they're going to become gods. That's what they tell us. Yuval Noah Harari and all the rest of them at the World Economic Forum. You know, the ones who want us eating insects, cockroaches, and that while they dine on the blood of children. Those are the people, right? They're not going to win. They're not going to win.
So Rick, does God endorse an open border? It's a question everyone wants to know the answer to.
I'm sorry. But like, you guys didn't see it, but like, we like to have fun on this show. Whenever JR.
Do we?
Do we? Yes. Whenever JR and I are together, we always pick up on these little things that happen in an interview.
100%.
And Eric Bolling's like, first off, got his ass handed to him when he tried to confront our very own Ana Kasparian and absolutely crushed him. But the fake, soft, low voice of, does God approve of open door? Then hearing her wish-washy BS answer of like, they want you to eat cockroaches. Like, first off, let me be real about this. Even Carl, my dog, won't eat a cockroach. And we see them all the time in Los Angeles, honey. They are bad. It's getting bad. Maybe we should call Eric Adams. We'll get to that story later.
No, that'd be excellent.
But like, look. On a serious note, it is literally the theme of the last few weeks. These are anti-Semitic dog whistles. They are anti-Semitic tropes. It has, not that it ever left. It was always like kind of on the fringe, but for it to become so mainstream, so surface level, in your face all the time, it's like, it's really debilitating, okay? Mm-hmm. And the reason it's really debilitating is because, for me personally, as like a Jew-ish person at this point, like, we know people whose parents were at Auschwitz. Like, we know people whose parents survived the Holocaust. We know people whose parents unfortunately did not. And this revisionist history that keeps happening over and over is not only deeply offensive to every person like the Elie Wiesels of the world who told their stories, but also it's offensive to us who know that this happened. And at some point, we're just gonna get into flat out denial. Is where I see this going.
Get there, man. It's already, man.
I know it's
just more on a broad scale and acceptance. Yeah, because there's always those people.
Right.
And then now we're at the point where it's just like, that's your clout.
To be clear, like, do you see like Rafael Cruz being like, it didn't happen? No, but I could see that happening in the next few years.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And all it takes is, I don't know, I guess a return of Donald Trump, because he apparently gave them that belief that then as long as they say the most horrible things in the world, then they can go ahead and advance themselves. And the reason he said that and the reason why they follow is because it's true.
1 second, really quickly. Her sources remind me of a New England Patriots beat writer who got duped by somebody at Barstool Sports, DM'd him and said, hey, the reason Mac Jones is mad at Brian Hoyer is because of da-da-da. You know, that's what my buddy tells me who's in the building, just to show how easy it is to infiltrate the mind of some media members. And then he ran with it without checking any sources. On a local radio interview. So I am telling you, like, sources are not always sources, especially when you're uttering that, which she did.
And she's going to keep catching the consequences. Maybe she'll figure it out one of these days.